The Microsoft Surface Laptop 3 was an excellent device, but it really lacked something that I really wanted to see from Microsoft, and that's innovation. Microsoft has always been able to create these innovative experiences and new products that didn't exist before, but the Surface Laptop 3 was really just an iteration to former Surface laptops. But what I didn't expect to come out of last year is innovation in a completely new form in the Surface Laptop Go. The Surface Laptop Go is to the Surface Laptop as the Surface Go is to the Surface Pro. And while that might just be confusing, think about the Surface Laptop Go as a pared down version of the Surface Laptop. And really it's targeted more for education markets. Now, personally, I am neither a student nor do I plan on being a student soon, but the Surface Laptop Go was still very interesting for me. I was hoping that even though I never bought a netbook when netbooks were the thing, that the Surface Laptop Go would bring on a new era of portable, powerful, connected devices, connected laptops. But let's see if that's actually the case. This is NOISO, and this is the Surface Laptop Go review. Let's start with the design. The Surface Laptop Go is just like a Surface Laptop, only smaller, with a couple different caveats. The design itself is a combination of both aluminum and plastic. The top panel is completely aluminum and solid. Then the inner side is also aluminum, the top keyboard deck. And then finally, the bottom panel is all completely plastic. It is a soft touch plastic that's not too dissimilar from the Samsung Galaxy S21. It feels incredibly dense and premium, and it doesn't have any of the creakiness that you'd get from kind of older plastic laptops. I am not too worried about the design of this, and I'm pretty happy with it. And honestly, I could see actually preferring this plastic build over the aluminum build of the Surface Laptop 3. There's unfortunately no option for an Alcantara wrist rest, which is a bummer for me, but the overall design of this is still incredibly impressive for what is generally a mid-range to entry-level device. And that's complemented by the fact that it has an absolutely incredible display. Now, notably, some of the concern with this display was that it had a lower resolution than 1080p, which a lot of people were concerned about, but in practice, I have never noticed this being anywhere south of an excellent, incredible display. I love using this because it is bright enough for me, it is crisp, it has great colors, and it just feels like a true Surface Laptop display. It's also got the same incredible touch response that we've come to know and love from the Surface line, and it has Surface Pen compatibility. Now, while I don't find myself writing on an upright laptop all that often, I still find it's a nice feature to have for when you do want to write on the display. It's crazy to me the fact that the Surface Laptop Go has smaller bezels than the Surface Laptop 3. These aren't the smallest bezels, and you can find smaller bezels on a lot of Dell laptops or other manufacturers' laptops. You might even find it better, smaller bezels on an HP Envy, for example. But these bezels are small enough for me to the point where you are getting a 12.5-inch screen for still a very portable, small footprint. What I love the most about this device is just how small it is. Yes, there are a lot of Dell XPSs and other devices that will come in a compact form factor, but this feels like it's smaller than a piece of paper. And if I had a choice, I would choose all of my laptops that were supposed to be portable being this kind of almost netbook experience. Ironically enough, the Surface Laptop Go has very similar connectivity to the Surface Laptop 3 with a USB-C port, USB-A port, a headphone jack, and the Surface Connect. I'm not as irked about the fact that this doesn't have Thunderbolt 3. It'd be a nice feature to have, and hopefully the Surface Laptop Go 2 will, but I don't see many people adding an external graphics card to this device in order to have, video editing capabilities or 4K gaming at 60 FPS on this tiny little device. The keyboard and trackpad on this device are also pretty incredible. They sport this off gray color on my silver device, which is kind of a nice contrast. And the feeling of it is pretty similar to the experience of using the Surface Laptop 3. Now, the keys don't have a ton of travel and not nearly as much feedback as earlier Surface laptops, but this is still one of the best keyboard experiences that you can get on a 12-inch or smaller device. I would absolutely choose this keyboard experience over the Magic Keyboard for the iPad Pro or anything like that. It has a completely traditional keyboard layout, and it takes up a significant amount of the footprint, more so than the Surface Laptop 3. So the result is a little bit of crampedness. It's a little bit small, so that I wouldn't recommend typing everything on this tiny little keyboard, but I was significantly more comfortable than typing it on any sort of tablet keyboard. The trackpad is as good as you'd expect from a Surface laptop trackpad. It is smooth, it is responsive, it's got a relatively soft click, pretty resistive click, but not as deep as a lot of other devices. And it's comfortable, easy to use, and just as fast and smooth as you'd possibly want. So everything about this device so far, I've absolutely loved. But then we get to maybe one of the biggest controversial points of the Surface Laptop Go and its performance. The base model of the Surface Laptop Go, which I have here, has an Intel Core i5 10th generation processor, 4 gigs of RAM, and a 64 gig eMMC, and 64 gigs of eMMC storage. Let's start with the processor. Fitting a Core i5 10th generation in a $550 premium laptop was pretty incredible to start. And considering it's a huge improvement over the Pentium Gold processor that we got on the Surface Go or the Surface Go 2, I am really happy to see that, and it's really impressive. Now, 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of eMMC storage is quite a bit more of a letdown. You see, I always had issues with applications stalling and dropping and freezing in the background, and I had always problems with opening too many tabs in Chrome or Edge or whatever it might be. It was consistently slower on this device than just about any other device. And where it really seemed to matter is just booting the device and starting it up from sleep took significantly longer to open up any of the programs, applications, or web pages that I had open. Just getting to them was very slow and a terrible experience on this device. And while I understand that this is made for the education market, it doesn't mean that the device has to be incredibly slow to do so. And the cost of 64 gigs of eMMC storage versus a 64 gig SSD doesn't seem to be like a huge gap for me. And so I really wish that Microsoft was able to upgrade that storage to a more traditional SSD and maybe add an extra 4 gigs of storage. Now you can, of course, pay to upgrade to 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of SSD, and hopefully that model will perform better. In the future, I hope to review that model to see if it is a significantly better experience. But I really wished that this device would be a really capable portable powerhouse, and something about it really kept that from happening. It's really unfortunate because I absolutely love this device in every other way. Just holding onto it, sliding it into my bag, flipping it around, it feels like it should be a lot more capable than it is. And it almost reminds me of the 12-inch MacBooks from a couple years ago in how portable and compact but still capable it is. But I really wish that Microsoft was able to get through that base model. And so if you plan on getting this device, first I check the comparable performance of the 8 gigs, 128 gig SSD model first before making a final decision, and probably opting for that. I unfortunately had similar conclusions with the Surface Go 2 last year, which I also loved the design of, but wasn't able to get over the poor performance. Now, this device isn't made for me, and I completely understand that. And I have no plans to use this device for photo editing or video editing or anything of the sort. Instead, I wanted to use this device for web browsing and writing up articles and drafts and taking notes and writing emails, all of the very simple things. And If my choice was to use this device versus an iPad with a keyboard to do so, the iPad with a keyboard, though a poorer experience in terms of the keyboard and the trackpad, would have a significantly better experience in terms of performance. And so unfortunately, despite how much love I have for this product, it simply just does not have a place in my lineup, and so I'm going to have to get rid of it. Before I do though, I'm going to open up this device and see if I can upgrade the storage myself. In most cases, eMMC memory is soldered to the motherboard, and so you can't upgrade it on most devices that have it. But considering this model also has other models that have dedicated SSDs, I have a suspicion that the eMMC is actually sitting on an M.2 daughter board or M.2 slot that hypothetically you should be able to upgrade. But we'll have to see in the future whether that's actually the case. Until then, this unfortunately will have to sit by the sidelines while I use more capable devices. Thank you for watching InnoISO. I hope you like this review of the Surface Laptop Go, and I hope it helps you make a decision on whether it's the right device for you. Let me know down in the comments what you think about it or the rest of the Surface line, and be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.